Hey everyone, this is Ben with RegisteredNurseRN.com, and in this video I'm going to talk about how you can start off this semester really strong in nursing school or college. And we're starting a whole new series of nursing school study tips where we're going to be talking about how to stay organized, how to manage your time, how to study for tests, how to prepare for certain classes in nursing school, and so forth. So we're going to have a whole playlist of that, of nursing school study tips. I'll put a link in the description below. But in this first part, I'm going to talk about how to go in strong and hungry so you can have success in your semester. Number one, you want to spend a lot of time organizing your schedule. And this was of huge importance when I was in college, and my wife also would use this strategy, and it really helped her. And what I mean by organizing your schedule is whenever you get the course catalog for the next semester and you have to register for classes, you want to spend a lot of time and approach it really strategically. And I would spend sometimes days, and I would make a whole list out of all the possible courses that I could take. And then I would make a list of each professor, and I would get on and research those professors, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. But I would research those professors, and I would look at all my available courses that I could take, the prerequisites I had to take, and all those things. And then I would organize it in a way so that it made sense and it was easy on me, as easy as it possibly could be. And some things you want to think about is, number one, you don't want to put too many difficult classes on the same days. In other words, if you have like a Tuesday, Thursday class, and then you have Monday, Wednesday, and Friday classes, you don't want to do all your hard classes, like you don't want to do anatomy and physiology and microbiology all on the same day. You want to spread those out, have one on a Tuesday, Thursday, one on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and even better if you could take one online and one maybe in an actual lecture class, so that way it's two different platforms, or if you could do them both online, that would be great as well. But you want to have variation there so you're not just pummeled at the end of the semester and you have all your assignments due on Tuesdays or Thursdays, you have all your exams due on Tuesdays and Thursdays, because some of those are going to meet up and it's going to make it really hard on you. So spread your schedule out and try to put those difficult classes on different days. Next, you want to organize your schedule in a way so that you have each semester a blend of easy courses and a little bit more difficult courses, and some of those courses that grade differently, like some writing intensives, oral intensives, and then you also want to have just your basic lecture courses. I'll give you a quick example of a schedule so you can see what I'm talking about. For example, here's a schedule of something I would consider pretty blended and a pretty good schedule. You have, first of all, an American literature class, and that might be a writing intensive, and in that class all you're going to do is you're going to read some of those poems and little short stories and so forth, and usually all your grades are going to be based on just papers you have to write. Next, you have an intro to speech class, and that would be where you have to give like an informative speech and a persuasive speech, and maybe have to take like one or two tests, but they're usually really easy. So those are the easier classes, and you don't have to spend a lot of time studying for those. But then you have a couple of more difficult classes, like anatomy and physiology is a class that a lot of students stress about. Have a study tip video on that, by the way. But anatomy and physiology, you may have to take a lab with that, and that you're going to have to do a lot of flashcards, a lot of rote memorization, a lot of reading, a lot of diagrams. So that's you're going to be able to organize it better so that you can study a lot more for that, because these aren't going to take up as much of your time. And then you're going to have like a dosage calculations class where it's math, so you're doing math problems, and you're going to study for that in just by practicing problems. So that has a variation of how you're going to study and what you're going to have to do. What you don't want to do is you don't want to take microbiology, pathophysiology, anatomy and physiology, and pharmacology, where it's all, they're rather difficult classes. It's all just memorization, and that's all you do the whole semester. That will burn you out and make you just really exhausted and tired. So try to blend that schedule as much as possible. And when my wife was in nursing school, for example, her BSN program, for the first 2 years, you could take your prerequisites and whatever classes you wanted, as long as you were taking the required classes according to the catalog. And they let you have a lot of flexibility. You could take what you wanted. But once you got in the actual nursing program in those last 2 years, the curriculum was pretty much set in stone. So you may not be able to tweak this too much if your nursing school just pretty much says, hey, this is the curriculum and that's what you have to take. But as much as you can, you want to work it that way. And your advisor can help quite a bit, by the way, with that. Next, you always want to research your professors long before you even sign up for these classes, because what that's going to do is help you prevent you from taking a really hard professor that has this horrible reputation and they're just not a good teacher. I can remember when my wife was taking a probability and statistics class, she went and talked with an advisor And the advisor told her point blank, look, this one guy that you're getting ready to take, nobody likes this guy. People fail his class all the time. He's not a good teacher, and you don't want to take him. You want to take this other person. So my wife took that other person, and of course she did way better. I think she maybe got an A in that class, but she did way better than she would have had she taken that other professor. And ratemyprofessors.com is an excellent website. I use that extensively. In fact, I have a whole video on how you should research your professors before you go to school, and you may want to check that out. But you always want to do that and then organize your schedule accordingly and pick those courses if you can. Now, sometimes you don't have a choice of the professor you have to take, but you can still check that website because a lot of students will post some tips to help you. They might say something like, she's a really hard, but if you study the PowerPoints, you'll do fine. And that gives you a great tip of studying because you'll know, okay, I need to place a lot of emphasis on those PowerPoint notes. So you want to research your professors by ratemyprofessors.com, and you want to organize your schedule in a way that's going to benefit you. That's right off the bat before you even start the classes, okay? Next, you want, for those really hard courses, like if you're taking anatomy and physiology and you're stressed out to death about it and you have to score well in that class, you want to buy any books and study materials way ahead of time. So go ahead and get those a couple weeks, a month before the class even starts, especially if it's during the break. Go ahead and start looking through those. And if you can get your hands on a syllabus from the teacher, maybe email the teacher or talk to the teacher, or maybe if a student has one, some universities actually put the syllabus online, like Liberty University. That's one of the largest online schools in the U.S. They will put a lot of their syllabus or syllabi online for each class, and you can go and actually look and find out what books you need, how the course is going to work, and so forth. So if you can get that ahead of time and then buy your books, buy study materials, and get a little bit of a head start while you have no other courses to worry about, that is a really good strategy. It's going to help you get through. Next, go ahead and get a planner or a calendar and go ahead and organize your schedule and begin thinking of what you're going to do with your work life, with leisure, and also the classes you're going to take, and begin to look and think, okay, how am I going to set this up? And we're going to have a whole video of how you take everything and organize it and set up a system to keep you organized, hopefully this week. So stay tuned for that. But you want to go ahead and get everything ready so that you can get planned from day one and get organized and stay organized. Next, this is the tip that for me made all the difference, okay? Right here. Over prepare for your first examinations, especially in the hard classes. Now, if it's like an intro to psychology and you know it's not going to be that bad, you don't have to worry so much. But in a class like anatomy and physiology or one of those, you have got to go into the class thirsty for blood. You have to go into it hungry. You have to go into it ready. And what I would usually do at the beginning of the semester is I would not, if I was working that semester, I would maybe take a couple weeks off or maybe give some of my shifts away or something like that. I would not hang out with friends as much, and I would just basically for the first 3 to 5 weeks until that first exam hit, I would do nothing but study and master and memorize the material the best I could. And that's going to pay off in 4 ways if you do this. Number one, you're not going to know what kind of testing style the professor has. You don't know if they're going to ask those tricky questions. You don't know if it's all going to be multiple choice. You don't know if they're going to mostly focus on what they gave you in their notes or PowerPoint lectures, or if they're going to focus mostly from the book. You don't know what to expect that first exam. So if you go into it ready to just ace and kill that first exam, that's going to give you a lot of cushion so that if it's something you didn't expect, at least you know a lot of other material and you can usually do pretty well. Next, you want to ensure that you get that high grade right off the bat, and that is going to help you out throughout the rest of the semester because most students start the semester strong, but then towards the end of the semester, you're burned out and you may be getting hit with a lot of other courses, or maybe you don't do as well in a course and you start to get burned out, you get stressed, you get into a negative thinking pattern, and it hurts you academically. So if you go into it strong and you do really well in that first exam, you're already setting yourself up so that at the end of the semester, instead of thinking to yourself, I've got to get a 90 on this test in order to pass, instead you're going to be thinking to yourself, all I have to do is get like a 60 and I've still got an A in this class, or I've got to get a 60 and I've still got a B. So it's so much better if you go into it with a high grade right off the bat. And then another thing is that whenever you go into that first exam hard, most first exams are the foundation of what you're going to learn throughout that whole rest of the semester. So if you get that first material down pat, you're going to make it so much easier to learn because most everything else is just going to build on it. Like anatomy and physiology, you're going to learn some of the basics, like the different kinds of slices in your body and the different like lateral movements and all this. And you learn those things and you learn some of the basic bone structures and all that. That's going to help you so much more later on in your labs and everything else. So you want to develop that foundation. Then you can afford to slack off a little bit sometimes towards the end and you'll still be all right. And then finally, whenever the end of the semester comes and you've got all these exams to worry about because during final weeks you have all your exams, again, you've started it out strong, you've got those good grades, it's a cushion, and not only that, but a lot of those final exams, they are comprehensive, and even if you've slacked off a little bit, you know that first a little bit of material and you're going to do okay. So over prepare every time as much as you can. That first test is absolutely crucial. Next, attend every single class that you can. I know sometimes you might have to miss if it's bad weather or if you're sick, but try to attend every single class. And that's important for a few reasons. Number one, you don't want to miss out on pop quizzes, on changes to exam dates, on random assignments they may throw out there, and that alone is going to help keep your grade high. Next, if your professor sees that you've attended every class and let's say you don't do as well on an exam or you have some issue, they're going to be a lot more lenient and a lot more willing to work with you because they see, hey, you're serious, you've been there. Whereas if you're skipping all the time, they're probably going to be like, look, just come to class and you'll do better. And then next, a lot of nursing schools are getting to the point where they require attendance anyway, and it may affect your grade negatively. They may take off points if you miss more than 2 classes or something like that. And it can also affect your scholarships and your financial aid nowadays if you miss. So you want to keep that in mind. And then finally, even if the class is dog boring, your professor is completely just a waste of lecture time, use that time to make flashcards or study the material yourself or something like that. So that it's not a complete waste for you, but at least your presence is there. The professor sees that you made an effort to attend and you can find out if you're going to miss any of that, if exam date changes or something like that. And then finally, just be positive. Go into a semester with the right attitude that I'm going to put forth the effort and I'm going to give it everything I've got. And if something bad happens, if I bomb an exam, it's okay. I'm going to go, I'll get a tutor, I'll study harder, I'll get some study materials, whatever you have to do. If I have to take the class again, if I have to withdraw and take it again next semester or take it during the summer, it's okay. But go into it hungry, go into it with a positive attitude, and you're going to do great. So those are just some tips on how you can start off on the right foot and make sure that you're going into it with a strategic plan. Coming up, we're going to have some more videos to help you out. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, you may want to do that. Thank you so much for watching.